Facebook shared that video of Will Smith, and I thought it was a good point that Will made in that video, which was that when he had a moment of peace, he had a moment of, I think he said he was in the Cayman Islands, and he had some time, he had some time to relax, to kick back, to do whatever, a non-self-programmed portion of the day. And he was saying how he felt this urge to check out the news, and then he remembered what the news was, which is just a machine that feeds you anxiety and strife. And then the moment after that thought, then he had an overwhelming urge to go check it out anyway. And he went on to make the point that we're addicted to the anxiety as a society. That's how it's been set up. It was first started by the perceived lack. Or in other words, there isn't enough for everybody. And that's, of course there's enough for everybody. There's more than enough. There's always enough. There's always an abundance. Even if you look at businesses, the structure has been set up that it makes fiscal sense to throw a bunch of food away. There are not programs, but the system has been set up that restaurants can make more money if they toss food at the end of the day. And I haven't looked into why that's true, but I know that that's a thing, and other companies have popped up to grab that, that refuse, that stuff, the food things that were going to go into the trash, and they would redistribute those throughout the city to the ones that needed it. But we have this need to worry. And then if we have a minute to ourselves, then, it's like, if you haven't worked on mindfulness, then your mind is going to badger you to death when you have a minute of silence, or 5 minutes, or 20, or a whole day, God forbid. What would you do with yourself for a whole day with nothing to do? Would you be able to be creative and entertain? And do you need to entertain yourself? That's another thing. We're addicted to entertainment. And in the so-called truther community, it's worse than the normies have it. The normies may be just sedated by pharmaceutical, TV, and all the other the normal suspects in the world of addiction that we're in. They are less encumbered by philosophical matters and deeper ruminations, ponderings, and all that stuff that we do, but we seem to suffer more from this need for agitation. So your mind will actually just create problems, simply because you're so used to having problems all the time, and you're so used to the act of attempting to solve problems having the opposite occurring, that you just assume that that's the way, that's the natural way, is to be constantly worried about everything. And that has to be another effort in and of itself that you undertake to be okay with peace. If you don't have peace in your mind, you're going to create problems, or your mind will create problems for itself, and then that's going to go and infect everyone else that you come around. Because our mental has been governed. Our mental has been governed. But just in the same way as agitation spreads to everyone else, if you're holding that state internally, if you decide to take over the governing of your mental state back from the deep state, or whoever and whatever has decided, or not even decided, there's always a balance, so there's always a reason for why things are the way they are, but you don't need to. There's nothing stopping you from taking back the governing or the governance of your own mind. There's nothing. There will be obstacles, of course, but if you go for it, if you try it, try taking back the governance of your mind, and you're tenacious with it, then you'll find out that the forces that be that normally push and pull you all day long, they can be mitigated, they can be silenced internally, and you can make your own way with respect to the other beings that are sharing the space with you. Hope everybody's doing well. Peace and rice.